Okay, so the root to commutative is, Emma said, was to commute. And to commute means to what? Or move. Correct? So we can say A plus B is equal to B plus A. We're just going to flip the order. I can say A times B is equal to, yeah, we're just moving it. Okay. Associative. If I have the associative property, what's the root? And when you associate, usually you think about being in a specific group. And so when I think of groups, I think of parentheses. Thanks. Okay. So I can say A plus B plus C, and I can put my parentheses here. And if I'm going to use the commutative property, I can say that's the same thing as A plus B plus C. So my parentheses are going to move. My groupings are moving. Okay. If I said A times B times C, how could I write the, what would it be equal to if I was using the associative property? Sydney? Okay. And then we know the distributive property. That simply means that what we take on the outside gets multiplied by each term on the inside. Okay, yes. Go. Okay, metric conversions. All right, chemistry? You guys in chemistry this year? You're going to use this in chemistry. Okay. Let's talk about, we'll do the metrics. How many millimeters in a centimeter? 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. How many centimeters in a meter? 100 centimeters in 1 meter. I said 100 and I wrote 1,000. Okay. How many meters are in a kilometer? 1,000. You've got to know these. Okay. There'll be some questions where you're going to be doing your conversions. And if you don't know the conversion, where can you find it? Online. So just Google it. Okay? Google the conversion if you don't have it. Okay? You know what a cubic centimeter is? What's a cubic centimeter? So cubic is three-dimensional. Three-dimensional deals with volume. So we can say we've got a cubic centimeter. We can also say that's the same thing as 1 milliliter. 1 milliliter. So if I'm going to say milliliters, or I can say I have so many cubic centimeters, depending on what I'm given in the problem. Okay? English conversions, we should be good at this. How many inches are in a foot? I hope you all know this. How many feet are in a yard? 3 feet equals 1 yard. How many feet are in a mile? 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. Good. Okay. Those are just the very basics. And yes, you have to know them. All right. So we're going to use unit conversions. Yep. Oh, did I not go down far enough? So you can say 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. Well, let me see. What other one did I want to know in here that we had to use? What other ones do we have? I think that's the basic one. Mm-hmm. assuming that I remember to turn it on, and everything's working right. So yes, so you can hear me all over again. Or those two that are gone, they can stay caught up if they have a chance to. So for, I think the only one that I wanted to write on there was cubic centimeters is a milliliter. And then a milliliter, how many milliliters? Okay, we'll do this. How many milliliters are in a liter? 1,000, right. 1,000 milliliters equals 1 liter. That's probably the other one that you're going to want to know. Okay? All right, so when we do these unit conversions, I want you to think of them as a ratio. Okay, I want you to have a numerator and a denominator. So I would want something like 100 centimeters for every 1 meter. Right? This will help you immensely once you get to the chemistry, because your units are going to tell you if you're converting things in the right manner, by if they cancel or not. So set them up like fractions and it'll make it a lot easier. You earn $60 per hour and you work 8 hours. What's your earning rate? Well, so $60 per hour is my rate. How much do I earn in 8 hours? How would I do that? What would I do? Madeline? So let's look at why. 8 hours over 1 times, we want the hours to cancel, and we want to know how much money we've made. And that's why we're multiplying and not dividing, because our units are going to cancel out, and we're left with the unit that we want in the numerator, which is money. And so that would be 8 times 6 is? So $480. You can only cross multiply if I set it equal to, if I made it an inequality. Okay? So if I wanted to say 8 hours over 1 equals, then I would do some cross multiplication. But this is just strictly a multiplication problem, and so then we follow the rules, numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. Okay, here we go. You drive 90 kilometers per hour. What's your speed in meters per second? So 90 kilometers for every 1 hour. My end answer, all the way down here, has to have what in the numerator? Meters. And what in the denominator? So what we're noticing is that both my distance and my time have to convert, correct? All right. So do one step at a time. Let's change our distance. Don't try to change both of the units at the same time. It'll be too confusing. So to go from a kilometer to a meter, and this is how I want you to show it, setting up these fractions, showing me your units are canceling. If I want my kilometer to cancel, it's got to go in the denominator, doesn't it? Does that make sense? Okay, so what unit is going to go in the numerator? No, we're just dealing with distance. What conversion will allow us to convert? Meters, right? If I want meters and I want to get rid of kilometers, that's going to be my ratio, correct? Okay, so we know what? What is the conversion from meters and kilometers? What is that? 1,000 what? So if I have to put a number in the numerator or the denominator, where does that 1,000 go? In the numerator, because it says 1,000 meters for every 1 kilometer, right? All right, the units cancel out. My answer is in meters so far, but now I have to convert my time. I have to convert from hours to seconds. Well, you can either do that step by step, or if you know offhand how many seconds are in an hour, that would be fine. What unit is going to go up top? Hours, because it's got to cancel, right? If it's trying to change the hour, it's going to have to go diagonal from it. All right, I'm probably going to go first to minutes and then to seconds. So 1 hour has how many minutes? And then my minute has to convert to seconds. And how many minutes are in a second, or how many seconds are in a minute? 60 what? 60 seconds in 1 minute. And so my minutes have canceled again. What did my unit have to be in? What was the distance? Meters. There's my meters. It hasn't canceled. What was my time? Seconds. That's the one that's left, right? So I've got 90 times 1,000 times 1 times 1. And in the denominator, I have 60 times 60. And my units are going to be second. No, what's the unit up top? Meters. And the unit in the denominator? And I was looking for meters per second, so I'm done. And so you'd multiply that on your calculator. What do you get? Something long? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just reduce these out. I'm gonna get 900 over 36. What does that simplify down to? Does it come out cleanly, or is it a mess? 25? Oh, great. So that's 25 meters per second. Did you follow my math? Ask me a question. Well, I reduced these by 10, and I reduced these by 10, right? I'm just reducing my fractions. And so that left me with 900 up top and 36 in the bottom. But you don't have to reduce that down. You can just multiply all of it out. Did it not come down to 25? Oh, okay. Abigail? So we know that we're dealing with a fraction times a fraction times a fraction times a fraction. So when we're multiplying fractions, it's numerator times numerator times numerator times numerator, and then denominator times denominator times denominator times denominator. Well, the ones aren't going to affect it because I'm just going to multiply by 1. Does that help? Okay. Elaine? Sure. So remember, if I gave you 1/2 times 2 over 1, if they're the same and they appear in the numerator and the denominator, don't they reduce or cancel? That's what I'm doing. So you're talking about the units right now, Elaine? Yes. So if I have a kilometer unit in the numerator and that kilometer unit in the denominator, they will eliminate each other, cancel each other out. Okay? Anybody else? All right. Have you gotten to this stuff in chemistry yet? No? All right, convert 150 yards to feet. This is an easier one because there's just one unit involved, right? It's not distance and time, it's just distance. So we say 150 yards. What we're converting, we put over 1. All right, so let's think. I want to get rid of yards. So where does yards, the unit, going to be placed in my second fraction? Where do you think? Casey? The denominator, right? It's got to be at the diagonal from it. Agreed? Can I go directly from yards to feet? Do I know what that conversion is? So then let's put our feet up here, since we can go from yards to feet. And what is that conversion? There are 3 feet in 1 yard. So where does the 3 go? Does it go in the denominator or the numerator? Numerator, because it's 3 feet, right? They're connected. So 3 feet for every 1 yard. Your yards are going to cancel because they're in a numerator and a denominator. What am I doing with the 150 and the 3? Am I going to multiply those values or divide those values? I'm going to what? Multiply, right? Because they're both on the numerator, right? Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 450 feet. This is about the process, not can you do it. I'm sure you can do that in your head, but I want to see the process of canceling out your units. All right, convert 40 gallons to pints. Ooh, we forgot to go over this. So let's think about this. How many cups equal one, what, quart or pint? 4 cups to 1 quart. 4 quarts to 1 gallon. I thought it was 2 cups to 1 pint. Is that right? There are 4 pints in a what? 8 pints in a gallon, yes. Okay, so you guys are good about that? Okay. So can we go from gallons to pints? There is a conversion right here that tells us, right? Gallons to pints. Okay, so what gets put over 1? Because that's what I'm converting. 40 gallons over 1 times. Let's set up my unit. What unit goes in the numerator? What unit goes in the denominator? And where is my 8 going? Because it's 8 pints, right? So does that go in the top or the bottom? Top or the bottom? 8 has to be attached to the word pints. So where does the 8 go? Top. Okay, what am I doing with these values? Cancel out the gallons, very good. Multiply the numbers because they're all in the numerator, and so we get 320 pints. Do I want pints? Absolutely, that's what the question asked. We good? Anything else down here? No. 16 years to hours. Can we go from years to hours directly? We can go from years to what? Days, and then days to hours, right? So we're going to have to do this twice. Would you agree? All right. So 16 years over 1, and then, no. Don't worry about leap years. We'll keep this simple. That would make a really hard problem. Okay, so 16 years. So what unit goes up top? And what unit goes down below? Okay. What number goes where? 365 what? Days. 65 days in 1 year. Years cancel. Don't worry about coming up with an answer. What is my answer going to be in currently in what unit? Days, right? But I need to go further. Would you agree? All right, so multiply again. You just keep multiplying by these fractions or these conversions. What unit goes up top now? And what goes down below? And we know that we've set this up right because my days are going to cancel, right? We also know that we've done this right because the unit that I want to end up with, in this case, because I've got 1 unit, is up top and it's hours, and that's what the question is asking. Okay? All right, so what do I put up top? What number? Right. And you can kind of add, sometimes you get confused and you'll put your 24 down here and I'll say there are 24 days and 1 hour. Wow. Okay, so you just have to look and make sure that you're setting it up right. So 16 times 365 times 24 is? So give me the digits. 140, 160. That's much easier. And my unit is? Correct. So answers must have their units on them. You need to show me you're canceling those units that you are converting. How we doing? Good. Okay. All right. So some of these conversions are going to be on your ACTs and SATs. PSAT is taken this year. So this stuff that we're learning this year is really going to be applicable to what you get on those standardized tests. Okay. You buy 18 gallons of gas at $2.65 per gallon. What's your cost? So we can figure this out, but I want you to do it using your rates and using your canceling of your rates. So I'm trying to really say, how much does 18 gallons cost? So I need to have cost as my numerator, right, in my final answer, because that's what I want. This is what I'm converting, 18 gallons. So whatever you convert always has to get put over 1. This is your rate. It can either be written as $2.65 per 1 gallon, or how else can I write that rate? I can say 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. I can also say 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So I can say $2.65 is what 1 gallon costs, or I can say 1 gallon over $2.65. And see, we want to be able to flip our rate so that we can do our conversion appropriately, correct? All right. So what am I going to do with this 18? I'm going to put it over what? It's always over 1. Whatever you are converting is always over 1. Okay, maybe 1. Maybe you might have another unit down there, but it's just 1. All right. So which of these conversions am I going to use? The first one or the second one? Which one gets rid of the gallons and gives you the money? Would you agree that the first one does? And if you aren't sure, recognize, I need to get rid of gallons. I need to have money. Which one has money in the numerator? The first one. So 2.65. Now, you know this inherently. You know that if I had 18 gallons of gas and I'm spending $2.65, I'd have to multiply those values. But this is why. Okay, so this is more about learning how to get rid of these conversions or to simplify them out. So cancel out. 18 times 265 is what? Well, I can't remember the last time I spent only $47 on 18 gallons of gas. Anybody have a Suburban? Oh my gosh, it's so painful to fill up that car. I'm like topping out at $100 every time I have to fill it up. And what? No, it's like 12 miles per gallon. Is that it? Yeah. Okay, so we're done. All right, so on Moodle,